Hey guys, welcome to another video on Smart. In this video, we will highlight the details to run the Smart tool on your system. And once the tool completes its execution, it will allow you to download the report onto your desktop. And also, tool has an inbuilt functionality to email the report as an attachment, and you can go back to the emails and download the report. So before we proceed to execute the tool, I would recommend that all the prerequisites we had discussed in the first video are all met. So let me paraphrase those prerequisites yet again. So these are the prerequisites which you have to set before even we can go ahead and run the Smart tool. So the first prerequisite is to have the Smart files entered in the home directory on Unix. The next thing is please have a check on the Unix user whether that particular Unix user has a PM rep access or not. And again, the password is authentication. It's the third step. So currently my code has migrated from dev environment to the test environment. So my job is to make sure the code in the test is same as that of the dev. So I'll be making my dev environment as a source and test environment as a target. And since my tool resides in the sandbox, so we have to make sure the sandbox can connect to both the environments, which is the dev and the test. So please make sure the password authentication is between the sandbox and the dev, and sandbox and the test environment. And the fourth point is entries in the smart-env-config.dat file, which is placed on the Unix. So you have to make sure the dev credentials and the test credentials are punched in this file. So the credentials will be the Informatica credentials, which will involve the host name, the domain name, the user and the password. So you'll have to punch those details in the smart-env-config.dat file. And the next thing is you'll have to create another file called userdetails.txt, place it on your desktop. And this particular file will have details of your sandbox environment. So let me show you the details here. So these are my details of my sandbox, which is my Unix user and Unix user password, and this is my host name. So place these three values on the userdetails.txt and save that on your desktop, like I just did right now. So what happens is we will be providing you a jar file, which is the actual executable. So you'll have to click on the jar file. The jar file goes back onto your desktop and looks for these details to connect to the environment, because this is nothing but the details where the Smart tool is hosted. Alright, so these are the details that are needed. Let me go back to the tool and start execute the file. So we will be providing you this particular package, which will involve the documentation, and that documentation will be your Smart help guide and the PPT. And again, we'll have something called as the Smart jar file. So you can go back to the Smart jar particular folder and click on the dist. So there you go, you can find the smart.jar file there. So you click on this. This is how the UI looks, and you'll have to get started. So this is the entire UI. It's pretty simple to use and it's very comprehensible. So this is what you'll have to set first. The source environment, which these are my environments that are updated in the .dat file. So let me test the code from dev13 as my source. Again, you'll have to check the target environment as well. So I'll choose test13 as my target environment. The next part is you have a select import type. So in this we have given you three different options. One is a manual entry. So I will select a manual entry when the number of objects I want to validate are lesser. So I can type them myself. Pretty simple. You'll have to provide the Informatica folder name as well. I'll add this entry. So we have another thing called as file import. So what does file import do is it'll take you back to your desktop. So you can traverse the path and you can choose the file which has all the workflow names and the folder names. So currently this is the file import file which we have created. You can make it as a .xls. So that'll be the better option. So let me show you this particular file. See, already we had put in some dummy values over there. So this is the folder name and workflow name, folder name and workflow name. These are the dummy inserts which I just made. Let me show you the file import file. So this is my file. So the first row is always a header, so you can ignore this. You can give the folder name and the workflow name where it resides. The folder name, the workflow name, the folder name and workflow name. So if you have more than 5 to 10, say I would rather say more than 5 workflows, you can punch in the details of all the workflows here, which is much more easier. You can drag them here and you can save this file. Okay, so if I go back again, I can delete all these options. We have made that option available as well for the user so that he can edit any particular time. So if he wants to change this, you can go back and change this. You can change the workflow name as well, the folder name as well. So these options are already available. So let me delete these values and I'll save this, right? If I go back to my desktop, traverse to that particular file, import, you won't see any options because you don't have any other file, any other values over there in that particular file. So what I will do right now is I'll add a few workflow names and the folder names. So I would rather say not available folder, workflow underscore a dummy test. Of course this particular workflow and folder is not available. So let's see how the tool even behaves, how the report shows up when the workflow itself is not available. Right, so I'm just saving this file and re-importing this. So you can see the entry is already made. Don't have to worry about your source and the target environment because it picks up from these values you have given. Just the folder name and the workflow name suffices. And again, the repository import is nothing but it will directly connect to your repository, source repository of course. And you give the list of, this is my folder name that is there on the dev 13 environment. So it will list out all the workflow names under that folder. So you can actually click on them and you can add them here using this particular option. See, it has listed all the workflows. Correct. So what I would do here is let me add a small workflow. You can choose anything, but of course for the testing I'm making sure take this option and I'll just click on this. So that particular entry is also made right now. So in this run we are trying to check all these particular workflows and we'll see how the report gets generated, and I'll give an email ID where my report will be sent as an attachment. Right. And next thing is you'll have to just compare. Click on compare. So the whole process starts off. So you can check the logs here, which are pretty verbose, and you know what's happening at what point of time. So you can just sit back and watch the logs. And you have elapsed time as well. So this time tells you like how long it took to complete the entire validation. This is your status bar again. It'll be quite interesting to see now. So what will be my report look when my workflow itself is not available, the folder itself is not available on Informatica, all right? And what kind of changes? Again, the report will have any sort of changes, right from, say, if you have a column and the precision is different in your source and target, even those are picked up and they'll be showing up in the report. Even a precision changes in the any kind of a variable or a parameter which is used in your workflow, they're all caught up. So it can go to any granular level in the workflow. It's almost there. So what this tool normally does is it connects from Sandbox to the dev environment, brings the metadata XML files, and again it connects from Sandbox to the test environment, bring the metadata files of these the workflows to Sandbox to make the comparison easier for the Unix. So you can see this here. First let me tell you this. The report will be emailed to this. Yes, it is done. And now the email has been sent. Okay, so you have an option here. Sorry, you have an option here to download the report. So click on this. It'll bring the report onto your desktop. Actually to the downloads folder, so you can see the path here. So let me click on this, and you have another unique ID here, right? The report will be generated along with the ID, so it will make it easier for the user to go and find the report. I'll go to my downloads folder. Already I have plenty of them. You can see this, right? So 580207. So 580207. So this is my report generated on 24th. Let me click on this. So these are the changes. First thing is you can have a look is the comparison repositories it will show you. Next thing is the workflow it's trying to validate. The first one is the booking orders workflow. So it has got some discrepancy. Transformation isn't available. Probably the code is not in sync. So it's got that issue. And next thing is commit interval in the value. So there is a slight deviation that it has caught up. So commit interval in the value in session property. And there's one more workflow which just tells here that it is deployed perfectly. That's the direct connect. And again, the dummy test, right? It is not available. So it says missing in the source repository. This was a dummy workflow which you've added to see how the report looks. And this is the end of the smart report. Of course, these things are all tested, and I'm sure these are all actual values which are missing. So you don't have to check on that. And next thing is the report that has been sent to the email. So let me go back here. See here, this was sent. This is my report that is generated right now. So we'll click on this and let me open this. The same report. This is the same report. Right. So this is how easy it is to use this particular tool. And makes the life of the developers very easy. So this is the end of this video. Hey guys, you can connect with us for any issues related to this particular tool. We're there to help you folks, and if you have any suggestions or any feedback, please reach out to us, and our email IDs are provided in this doc file. So these are our email IDs, so you can connect with any of these folks, so they'll be ready to help you. Okay, thank you guys.